Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to those of you across the land and across the pond. I am Leo Brown here with something a little different. I wanted to talk about retrograde. We are now in the middle of Mercury retrograde, or as I like to call it, when its shoe takes a holiday. So before I get into that, I want to say thank you to all of you for watching, for commenting, and subscribing to the channel. It really does mean a lot. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for watching. And I hope you guys like what I've done and what I have to say thus far. And if you're not new, thank you for stopping. Thank you for being here and for, making the channel grow. So please continue to like, to comment, and to subscribe to the channel. Now, before I get into the whole Mercury retrograde thing, let me make this very clear to y'all. I repeat, I am not an astrologer at all. Astrology is not my cup of tea. Actually, I would recommend two people off the top of my head that are very good at astrology. Actually, three. Um, that would be the three people that I think of at the top of my head. That would be Melanated Crowns, and she's here on YouTube. And also Psychic Wayne Gonzalez, if you know him. And I'll put their information. I'll try to put it in the description box below. And also Sandra Marie. She's also an astrologer as well. If you read Essence magazine, she's actually the astrologer for that particular magazine. But anywho, so Mercury retrograde, or as I like to say, when the shoe takes a holiday, what does it mean? So it basically means that for the next 3 weeks, the planet of Mercury, which rules communication, it rules business, it rules contracts, it rules the written word, it rules travel. It basically means that for the next 3 weeks, we're going to, not that things are gonna basically, I would say this, things are gonna slow down. And really, retrograde, when you look at a retrograding planet, it basically means they often say that it's actually an optical illusion. That what you're really seeing is not that the planet is going backwards, it's just that it's just slowing down. So it's, the orbit is starting to slow down. So in terms of Mercury, we may find ourselves tying up. Mercury really is about tying up a lot of loose ends. It's about how we communicate. It's about not only what we say, but how we say it. It's about, things that we've been wanting to do, things that we've been wanting to say, like getting things off our chest. For instance, you often find that during this particular retrograde, that old loves come back, exes come back, people from your past come back. Normally, it's not because we often think, oh my God, well, this person's back. So I guess that means that we have to start over. Normally, that doesn't necessarily mean that. It can. But but more often than not, it actually can mean, well, it's not that I want you to pick up where you left off. It's more of now you need to tie this loose end so you can move on to something better and greater. Travel, for instance, how does Mercury affect travel? So now you know what's going on with Southwest Airlines and the airlines right now, right? So that's one example because you got the pilots on strike. You do have some pilots coming into work, but you also have a lot of pilots and flight attendants not working. Excuse me, but then at the same time, you also have Southwest and their system is just being completely not only overhauled in a sense, but it's like everything kind of has gone into chaos. And that's because when you don't tie loose ends, this is what happens. So if you think about what's going on with Southwest and with travel in general right now, it kind of makes sense that it's going on during the retrograde. Now, a lot of people say that during this retrograde that you shouldn't date, you shouldn't travel, you shouldn't spend money, you shouldn't sign contracts. I personally don't agree with that. I think that if you're going to do those things, so say for instance, you're going to date. If you're going to date, take your time. Get to know them, communicate with them, talk to them, make sure it's consistent. If you're going to travel, tie up your loose ends. Make sure you have your passports. Make sure you got your tickets. Check the airline reservations once, twice, three times. Your hotel accommodations. When you communicate, think about what you say before you say it. Because that's another thing. Like you may find, like during this time, people on social media, they're gonna start saying some stuff that's kind of off the wall, and you'd be like, really? But that's, you know, I don't want to say that's Mercury retrograde itself because it's not. But people often use the retrograde as an excuse to to do a lot of dumb stuff. And really and truly, it's not retrograde's fault that you want to curse your boss out and send an email to all your friends and things like that. Like that's not retrograde's fault. That's more so your fault. Because often we tend to blame, oh, it's retrograde. That's why it's like, no, no. And that's not to say that Mercury retrograde doesn't affect us, because it does. In truth, all planets, whether it be, because I think Mercury's not the only retrograding planet, if I'm not mistaken, but all retrograding planets affect us on some level. And it also depends, if you look at it from a more astrological standpoint, it depends on where that planet may be in your house, like in your chart. I wish I knew more about the houses. I'm horrible at that, but that's really what it means. Like I know that for me, I often will say, "Oh, retrogrades don't bother me." Baby, maybe the next 2 weeks, retrograde will kick my ever loving ass, and I'll be like, "Oh my god," But it can be a good thing, because in the end, I'll be like, "Oh," because you have to remember too that the planet of Mercury and even the deity of Mercury, and also in African spirituality, he's often known as Shu. It's all about decisions. It's all about choices, and it's all about learning. So at the end of a retrograde, the one thing that you may ask yourself is, well, what did I learn from all this? What did I gain? What did I lose? What did I gain? Because if you think about it, it's all about, well, are you going to go are you going to go into door number one, two, or three? You know what I mean? It's like that. Um, and yes, it can be rocky, but I also think it's all about how we handle it and what is being thrown at us. And let's be honest, retrogrades are not easy. Even if, like, let's say Mercury retrograde, and you're dealing, because another thing is when you're dealing with business. Oftentimes during Mercury retrograde, your business, like if you're self-employed, if you're an entrepreneur, your business may slow down. You may you may make money, but just not the money you used to make, or you're going to have a lot of disgruntled customers. You're going to have people that are demanding things that you can't give, or you might mess up on an order, or you might have to find yourself giving refunds, giving money away, things like that. So, retrogrades they can be dicey, but they can also be good too, because it makes you double check. And that's the thing. Retrogrades are about, especially this particular retrograde, it's really about keeping you on your toes and making you think before you act. So hopefully this Mercury retrograde, I hope it won't be too bad for y'all. I know some of us are feeling it already. But it's really about reevaluation. There are three key words there are three key words to consider during retrograde, and they are renew, reevaluate, and if needed, release. So I say to all of you during this retrograde, renew, reevaluate, and if needed, release. So I just wanted to give just a little spiel on, what the retrograde is and why it affects us and why sometimes we freak out when it comes about. So that's all I wanted to say. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It was actually kind of neat to do this. I might start doing these more often, though, like I said, I'm not an astrologer by any means. But until next time, my sugar bears, I thank you for liking, for commenting, and for subscribing. And also, tell me your Mercury retrograde stories. Like I've heard some great stories. I've heard like people falling in love. I've heard of people winning money. I've heard of people, really like just going for the gusto with their life purpose and their dreams. But tell me your stories. Like when you think of retrogrades, the Mercury retrograde, what does it mean for you? What does it conjure up? Let me know in the comments. But until next time, my sugar bears, I say to you, be learnable, be teachable, love yourself, and most of all, be you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.